Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I want to bring you a video that actually took me a lot longer than I thought it would to go ahead and kind of put together for you guys. And, this is pretty much 5 lessons that I've learned throughout the way for 2024 when it comes to growing different home care agencies, client base, and kind of setting a blueprint for you so that you can make 2025 your year. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. Now, why am I making this video? Right. Number one, let's talk about how this benefits you, the agency owner. Okay. You can go ahead and get some valuable lessons that will allow you to kind of skip testing, see what your competition is doing, and start seeing results today. Right. Very little things that you can do that actually will make a big difference in the short and long term. Number two, how this benefits me. We're always looking to work with agencies we can guarantee success, essentially, right? So we're hoping to attract those same agencies who will see this video and be like, oh, you know what? I'm actually going through that. Actually, I need this, right? And then, of course, number three, the ultimate outcome. To give you more tools and knowledge to grow your agency and to train more agencies to be like our best clients, right? So whenever you see any of these, you're gonna hear my personal recommendations, and those come from our best clients, right? The ones that are seeing the highest level of success, the ones that are, constantly in communication with us, and the relationship is just lovely overall, right? And at the end of the day, it's a win-win outcome, right, for both of us. And so, what more could you ask? But awesome. So let's go ahead. Let's get into the actual lesson, starting with lesson one. Marketing is your growth engine. I I think when you're starting out, and even when you're in the day to day, kind of scaling your agency, even if you're big, it's very important. Or sometimes it happens that you forget that marketing is actually a thing that got you here, right? When you didn't have any clients, what do? You go market, right? Try to find new clients. When you still have 200, 300, 500 clients, what are you doing? You're still marketing to try to grow. So making sure that, marketing is probably one of the top departments that, you're constantly leading is super, super important, right? Um, just a quick reminder. So let's kind of get into the two different types of marketing. Okay. There is, kind of marketing your own agency. Okay. So, of course, doing the in-person marketing, the online marketing yourself. That aspect, again, you're kind of promoting it, doing the in-person. And then there is other people that market you. Okay. So there's only two ways people can go. You can kind of market your agency. Either you do it yourself or you have other people do it. Now, when it comes to what you do yourself, okay, that we're gonna get into that lesson next. But I think it's very important that marketing overall, you're going to be doing it. It's gonna solely focus around you yourself, right? Not you as the owner, but I'm saying you as the agency, right? Whether you have other people doing that for you, like that are assigned to that. Um, and of course, it just goes beyond the direct to client strategies. Okay, going to nursing homes, talking to these seniors. It also goes about nurturing referral partners, right? So when people market your agency, typically it's going to be three types of people in your agency. It's going to be referral partners, right? That whenever they go ahead and hear, one of your ideal clients, they'll go ahead and refer you over. Uh, there's going to be employees, okay, like your caregivers that are going to be like, hey, I work for a great agency. Here you go. And then lastly is going to be your clients. Okay, so they're going to be the ones referring over to you. Your services are amazing. They'll go ahead and refer you to a friend. So it's super important to develop and maintain relationships with these three types of characters. Okay, and then of course, making sure that your own marketing department, right, whether those are the in-person marketers themselves, as well as anybody who's working any type of online marketing, to also make sure that they're hitting certain KPIs, certain goals that you have set, to make sure that that is at the end of the day funding all the amount of clients that are coming your way, right? Um, so that's lesson number one. Make sure that this is an actual priority of yours, because if you want to make 2025, the year where you go and you hit your numbers, marketing is going to be the whole engine that does it. Okay. So next lesson, okay, is let's get into in-person marketing versus online marketing. What is working in 20? What worked for all the agencies that I've worked with in 2024, and kind of what's the strategy moving on 2025? The answer here is both. They're both working perfectly fine. Okay. And so in-person marketing, okay, Not really gonna dive too deep into it. There's plenty of trainings on it out there. It's the oldest form of, marketing when it comes to growing your home care agency. But definitely, something worth bringing up is addressing the amount of competition, right? That's pretty much all agencies who've already been established kind of are realizing. It's getting a lot harder to get into facilities, getting a lot harder to get into hospitals, getting these referral partners, right? The amount of agencies that are growing are outpacing the amount of facilities, doctors' offices, hospitals that are being established. Okay, so how do you essentially navigate through this competition and kind of do better than them? Okay, and that's where online marketing is kind of taking its place, right? Where you're essentially adding an additional revenue or additional marketing source, right? I think the goal of any business in general is not to have all your eggs in one basket. You don't want to solely be relying on your referral partners, from your previous in-person marketing efforts, because if you're not nurturing those relationships or even looking for them out, they're gonna eventually kind of wither away. So you need to do something that your competition isn't doing much of. And I can say for certain, especially that I've placed myself in the online marketing space for home care agencies, most of them are not doing it. And if they are, they're not doing it properly. Okay. So very, very few, I mean, maybe like 1% that I've spoken to are even doing it somewhat properly, right? If they are doing it at all. So definitely considering online marketing as a way, a marketing source that you can use for your agency to attract, uh, you know, um, referrals and inquiries is going to be a great, great place to start, especially even, potentially referral partners. You won't necessarily be marketing to them, but because you're just exposing yourself more online, you're easier to find. You'd be surprised. We've gotten a couple of referral partners for our own clients, not on purpose, but they do happen. They do happen from time to time. And so that's where, of course, having a kind of balanced approach, okay, to this is what's ultimately going to, the home care agencies that are going to win in the long term is, them having a balanced approach to this, right? It's not one that's better than the other. It's about having both and doing them properly, okay? Maximizing the amount of referral sources you can get. And then, of course, obviously, our next lesson is going to be kind of diving a bit deeper into online marketing. But I did want to go ahead and kind of handle this main objection, which is my clients aren't online. Okay. Let me tell you now. Okay, for those people that believe that, your reasoning is justified. Of course, it makes sense. Makes a sense kind of on a surface level. But if we dive a bit deeper into that, okay, most people are online. You're online. Your kids are online. Even older folk are online. Um, and so the main person we're looking to reach when we're doing our online marketing efforts is going to be typically the relatives of your patients. So it's not going to be the patients themselves. It will be the relatives, the children of these patients, right? We're talking of age range anywhere from 40 to kind of 55, right? Because anybody above that is typically going to be, kind of senior care territory. And let me tell you, okay, in my own experience, around 80% of the people that end up do kind of calling in, inquire through online avenues are going to be the relatives. 20% of that is going to be the actual, the seniors themselves are going to be the spouse. So typically, again, another older folk calling about, help for their spouse. Okay. So super, super important, okay, that this is something that you add to your arsenal because let me tell you, if you're able to go ahead and get ahead of your competition now, you're going to be miles ahead by the time they realize this and wake up, and you're going to be there. So that's lesson number 2, right? In-person marketing versus online marketing. Both. The answer is both. Okay. Let's go ahead and get it to lesson number 3, which is mastering online marketing in the senior care space. Okay. Let's quickly address, okay, there are 2 main ways you can find a home care agency online. This is super important, right? You need to basically know where, kind of what are you supposed to be doing. So let's talk about number 1, organic content. Organic content just simply means, you're on you have a Facebook, you have an Instagram, you have a TikTok, you're making posts, you're putting up articles, or maybe you're on articles, right? You had a local newspaper make an article on you. People can just find you just kind of, on the day to day, right? Now let me tell you, kind of leading up to the second option, the organic content is going to take a while for that to kind of roll on, right? Because you're kind of you still don't, especially if you're starting brand new, you don't have the following yet for that, right? You don't have the brand recognition name yet to go ahead and do that. Unless you're a franchise, right? You just don't have that brand name yet. So this is definitely a place that I would recommend more towards the end, and I'll kind of get into that in just a second. And then the second way is through search, which is Google. Okay, so people either find you kind of naturally on their feed, right, when you start posting, or people, when they're specifically looking for home care, which is going to be on Google, right? People go on Google, they look up something, okay, they're going to be able to find you there as well, right? And when they're in the local area. So, if you're an agency, let's say in Atlanta, somebody in Atlanta looks up for home care, if you have enough reputation build up, they'll go ahead and see you there, okay? And so let's talk about the second important, aspect of this when it comes to online marketing. And this is going to have a point to it. Okay. How are people looking for home care online? Okay. So that's very, very sincere question. And let's dive a bit deeper into that. Okay. So I'm going to pull up the board. Okay. Right here. I love me a good whiteboard. I'm going to be drawing here for you guys. Okay. So let's talk about this right here, okay? Let's kind of zoom in here, okay? So the question here is, how are people looking for home care online? Okay, so the word I want you to think about, right, is looking. And so this is a magnifying glass in case that wasn't obvious. How are people looking? This means that they're active, right? They're not just kind of waiting for it to come to them. They're looking for something. And so this is where I want to kind of break you down in something called a funnel. Okay, a funnel is just, if you want to think about it, is the different pathways people can take from going to stranger to clients, right? And then we'll, of course, not every client is a dollar sign, but this is the best way I can think of a client, or I draw it at least. They'll come out a client, okay? And so here at the top level, these are people, okay, in the aspect of a funnel, right? And kind of thinking about the customer journey throughout. There's going to be people that they don't know they have a problem, right? They either don't have a problem or they don't even know they have a problem, right? So maybe they're getting some back aches, maybe they're getting some, it's getting a little harder for them. They're finding themselves longer to take a shower, right? All these different things, okay? These are the people that don't even know they have a problem, okay? So they don't even know about home care. Now going down, to the next step of the funnel, these are people that what we call are problem aware, okay? That's a P. People that are problem aware, meaning, okay, you know what? They've gone to the doctor now. They realize, hey, I have a little bit of arthritis, I have a little back pain, I have a little knee problem, right? So these are people now that are problem aware, and they're realizing in their day to day, it's getting a little bit harder to kind of do things now, right? So they're now more aware of their problem, okay? But they still haven't yet realized, hey, maybe I need somebody, right? They're not there yet, but they have a problem. The next step comes, okay, the symptoms are getting worse. They're talking to their doctors. Guess what? Their doctor goes ahead and consults them, right? And tells them, hey, you're probably going to need somebody to take care of you at home. Okay. Boom. That comes down to the next problem they have, which is they're now solution aware. Okay. I have this problem now. Okay. Whether I just came out through surgery or something. Now, my doctor's recommended me somebody to take care of me at home, right? Or somebody to take care of me in general. So now they're aware of these options. They're exploring their options. They're actually doing research now. Okay, they're saying, okay, I see that there's this agency I can go to, that I can call, and they'll bring somebody over, right? So now they're aware. Listen, I have a problem. I know exactly how to solve it. Now the next step in all this, right, is being what we call in this stage right here is called being product aware. Okay. And what product aware means is that they're essentially, they essentially know of your product or your service, right? So I guess in this case, it wouldn't be product per se, it'd be service. So now they're what's called service aware. So they're looking up for home care agencies. Now they've gone ahead and they've seen you, and they're considering you as, to go ahead to be a provider for their solution. Okay. So reason I bring all this up, and reason I'm talking about all this, okay, is because people, when you ask that question, right, how are people looking for home care, you're naturally talking about these people here, right? These people right here. You're talking about people who are already solution aware and are looking for somebody to take care of them. Okay. So, now when it comes to how are people looking for home care, okay, I would say the main way and the number one way is it's going to be through search. Okay, so this is going to be on sites like Google, right? That was a horrible G, but um, it's gonna be on sites like Google, right? So these are people that again are already on this stage, and these people right here, if you think about it, look, they've already gone through several stages right here, right? They've already gone through, the kind of unknown, unproblem aware aspect. They've already gone through here. They've talked to their doctor. Now they know what they need because their doctor already recommended it. So it's super easy to get these people here, right? Because they're closer down on the funnel. You see that? They're way closer down in that customer journey. So what happens is when people find you instead through organic content, right? Organic content, a lot of those people, it's going to be a lot more people. Definitely a lot more people. A lot more people are problem aware, but they're not solution aware. Okay, so you're gonna notice, okay, that these people are gonna have, for example, right here. Okay, let me erase this. These people right here, okay, they're gonna have a lot more questions, right? Which means that that extends out the customer journey. They need more time to research, make more time to make decisions, right? And even up here, imagine, this person comes to you. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm a home coach. So what is that? Oh, actually, I kind of have this problem, but I'm not sure if I do. I gotta go see a doctor, right? These people, everybody in this bracket here and here, okay, these people are gonna have a lot more questions. They're gonna need to do a lot more research, and just to go ahead and kind of put it, kind of put it to, kind of answer the question originally that we asked, right? Was, how are people looking for home care online? The main people you really want to talk to and that are gonna, kind of convert as quick as possible are going to be these people right here, right in search. Okay, it's going to be these people here that are solution aware, and they're just looking for somebody. They're looking for a specific somebody to solve their problem, right? A specific agency. And so these are the type of people you want to focus on. Okay, even when it comes to search, are going to be people that are looking here as well, right? You can even attract these type of people. But what I would recommend is you guys, once you've kind of solved for this, you've done all you can to go ahead and kind of maximize the amount of inquiries and results you can get out of this kind of search aspect, kind of focusing on Google, right? Then it makes sense to start pushing out content and getting people over here, right? Because here, okay, so just so you understand, people that are here, okay, there's always going to be, it's going to be like this, right? It's going to be kind of like this order. So there's going to be 10 times more people that are problem aware than are solution aware. So you multiply the amount of people that you can go ahead and reach, okay? Then from there, there's like 100 times more people that don't even know they have a problem versus that do, okay? So then the higher you go and you try to attract more of these people, the more you expand the amount of people you can actually reach. But it makes sense from a marketing standpoint to focus, right? Especially in the beginning, or if you haven't even done the strategy yet, to focus on the people that are solution aware first, right? Maximize the amount you can get here, then focus on the next problem of the stage, right? You're going to notice you're going to make a lot more sales, especially in the beginning, right? And especially that your team might be smaller. You don't want to deal with everybody up here. Definitely not. You want to deal with people more around this area and then start working your way up as you start growing bigger and your reach, and you're starting to reach a certain point that it's getting harder to find people in this parts of the funnel. So I hope that made sense. Okay, we took a little detour. We also did some drawings. I love drawings. But I hope that made sense. Okay. If you have any questions about it, you can definitely leave it in the comments down below. Love to answer it. Okay. So that's how people are looking for home care online. They're going on Google typically, right? Like on search engines. So it could be Google, Bing, Yahoo, and they're looking for home care. Okay. So that's simply one thing I want you to prioritize, which is how can I make myself higher in the rankings when it comes to Google showing my website, right? Because that's where you're going to find people that are solution aware, people that are going to inquire, become an assessment, become a client. The journey is a lot shorter. The journey is a lot shorter. Okay. So let's talk about a bit more about that, when it comes to kind of going deeper into search. Okay. So what I'd say is, this is how I would recommend you break down your online marketing strategy if you're looking to go ahead and attack it. So in order to go ahead and get some, kind of immediate results, you want to focus on what we call paid ads. So paid ads, you want to essentially think about is you're paying your way to be number one, to be ranked number one on Google. Okay. Now, of course, that does cost more money than any of these out here. Okay. But Definitely in the short term, I'm talking about, kind of 4 months, 5 months, you're going to see the most immediate results compared to these two. These two, they take time. Okay. These are kind of longer term strategies that pay off and compound at the more you go ahead and do it. Okay. So let's, of course, paid ads. Okay. That's going to be one of them. So it's going to be specifically Google ads. Okay. You're going to want to go ahead and do this on Google. Now, number two is going to be SEO. This is going to be once you've kind of established yourself here in the paid ads portion, you're getting, anywhere from 5 to 10 inquiries, quality inquiries every month. That you can easily expect that. It could depend on your area. You can get more, you can get less, right? It depends on your territory size, depends on the seasons, depends on, kind of how competitive it is in your area, right? Then of course there's going to be a longer term strategy. Okay, so with paid ads, of course, you need to have an ad budget, right? You're going to essentially create a Google account, attach a card to it, and Google's going to charge you as you go ahead and use it. When it comes to SEO here, okay, this is essentially where you're building your online reputation. This doesn't involve anything related to Facebook or kind of Instagram, TikTok. That has nothing to do with it, or very little to do with it rather. This has more to do with your website and how easy it is for Google to trust it and show it more to people that are relevant to who you're trying to target. Okay, so SEO from a long-term strategy standpoint can bring you a lot more qualified leads are coming in than paid ads can in the long term. Okay, and on top of that, it tends to be cheaper in the home care space, right? There's not a lot of options to go ahead and kind of because in different industries there's ways you can go ahead and kind of skip your way by essentially kind of buying the reputation. You can't do that in at least it's not really a viable strategy in this industry. But I digress. So definitely long term, I recommend this. You can see results within, let's say if there's something brand new and you're kind of more brand new on the scene, this can take about 4 to 6 months before you start seeing consistent results. You'll see results earlier on, but consistent results, I'm talking like 15, 20 inquiries a month. It's going to take some time. It's going to take 4 to 6 months to go ahead and start seeing those strategies take into fruition, right? That's why I recommend you can see these results within 1 to 2 weeks of launching the campaign, assuming they're properly done. Here with SEO, this will take, especially if you're newer, 4 to 6 months. If you've already been an kind of an industry leader for the last 10 years, it could take you around 2 to 4 months, assuming you haven't done anything to your website. So this is what I recommend, kind of taking those steps. First doing paid ads, then doing SEO, okay, search engine optimization. And then finally, number 3 is going to be social media content. So I would say these two kind of long term will get you, anywhere from 20 to 40 inquiries a month, just from your online marketing, right? This right here. Now, when it comes to social media content, this is a little bit harder to grasp because there's a lot of different strategies you can do when it comes to social media content, but I definitely do think it should be kind of the last one you should focus on. Okay, so social media content, this means like posting on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all these different places. This is great for brand awareness. This is great to go ahead and kind of reach those people that we're talking about up here, right? That they don't even know they have a problem. Because what essentially you're doing is when they eventually get to this stage right here, okay, the best thing about social media is that it's kind of natural, right? People are kind of there to be entertained. So if you can create content that's engaging, educational, and entertaining, you're essentially going to be appealing to everybody here. That's why something we don't focus on too heavily in the beginning. And when you're doing that, the main benefit of this is when eventually everybody who needs home care will come down at this point. The first person they're going to think of is you. And that's where you get your competitive advantage when it comes to your marketing compared to, of course, your other competitors. As soon as they first think, oh, actually I saw this guy a while ago about home care. He was super funny and they look very nice. Maybe I should reach out to him for my mom, right? Boom, right? You have already a potential customer that you didn't even know, but maybe that took, kind of 2 years, 3 years down the line, after they saw you, right? Or maybe even a couple months, a year. So definitely this is where you're going to see the least amount of return in the short term, but in the long term, as you do this and the content starts to compound, this is when you'll definitely see it kind of add into your online marketing strategy. So just to kind of go ahead and kind of recap everything we're talking about here, Make sure you prioritize this based on your goals. Okay, so ads definitely for immediate kind of results. You're essentially paying your way to go number one there. SEO for long-term sustainable growth. This kind of runs on itself. This doesn't need an ad budget. So long-term, of course, it's going to be cheaper than paid ads. And then content for building trust and eventually getting somebody later on down the line to go ahead and think of you first when they eventually get to being solution aware. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on to lesson number 4. So system to convert leads into clients. So of course, I like to go ahead and remind my clients, we're not doing all this to go ahead and get inquiries, right? And you know, a lesson that's super, super important, just to kind of come back here, okay, is this right here. Okay. So in your funnel, right, eventually when somebody does, you know, of course, they're problem aware, they're solution aware, they're aware of your service, okay, they're aware of your service, eventually they'll get to the point where they're at a decision phase, right? Whether or not, hey, do I go ahead and make this decision? Okay, so this part right here, I would say, is where a lot of home care agencies struggle. They struggle with getting people to actually want to consider their services, and then on top of that, the actual of them making the decision on becoming a client, right? Now, this isn't mainly the case when it comes to Medicaid per se, right? Because Medicaid, the decision here is it's almost very minimal, right? Unless a person has had experience with other agencies and you know they kind of have some, let's say, I don't know, trauma, or you know they just didn't like other caretakers, then the decision does become harder. But typically in Medicaid, you know, it's not their money, so it, you know, the decision is quite easy. They're saying, okay, yeah, I can get care and it's paid for. Okay, that's fine. But when it comes to private pay specifically, and in some cases long-term care, the decision is a lot harder, right? Because they have to think, okay, it's not just is this care great for my mom, but also what can I spend this money? What else can I spend this money on, right? Like, is this the best use of my money? And so this is, and we were talking about everything getting them over here, right? Kind of inquiring. This process here is when they go ahead and do the inquiry. This process here is this almost a sales process, right? I would say it's pre-selling. Okay, this part right here is a sales process, right? You know, getting them to go ahead and make that decision and eventually becoming a client. But this is where they go ahead and actually do the assessment. Okay, so we're talking about that on the timeline here, right? When they're a stranger, right? When they go ahead and see you, so this is an eyeball. Then when they go ahead and inquire, okay, when they go ahead and do the assessment, and then eventually when they make the decision to become a client. So especially when it comes to private pay, okay, this process here is going to be the one of the toughest ones. Okay, right here. It's gonna be one of the toughest ones. One, to go ahead and get them on the assessment. Okay, right here. And then on top of that, of course, to go ahead and finally make that decision to go ahead and enroll them as a client. So this is what we're talking about here. We're talking about that stage right here, right? Specifically on how to go ahead and in the short term get them to make the decision to go ahead and make the assessment. Once you're in their home doing that face-to-face selling, it's a lot easier to go ahead and get them there. So just to go ahead and get back to that, right? Generating these leads, that's kind of what we talked about up to this point. Let's talk about the efficient systems you need, right, for you and your team to make sure you're converting as many of these leads, right, into assessments and then, you know, of course, into clients. So for the short term, we're talking like, you know, this person just inquired, you know, in the last couple of days or in the same day. We want to go ahead and set up follow-up systems and accountability protocols. Okay, so this is stuff like systems that you set up that, you know, we set up for our clients that look something like this, right? We're pretty much we're essentially making sure that the lead doesn't slip through the cracks. We don't want any leads to be forgotten that could potentially become a client, especially if we know that they're qualified. So you want to go ahead and you create assets, right? Like this could be like templated messages. If you already have an idea of the customer's journey and the common questions that they have when they first come in, you know, stuff maybe like pricing and you know, like what services would be best for me based off this. You can set up templated messages for your team so that it's easy to go ahead and respond. Now, these messages don't mean that they get sent automatically. These are when I say templated, you know, of course, they'll use it as almost like a map, as a guideline. And of course, based off the lead's context, okay, they'll go ahead and kind of shape it to that. Okay. And then on top of that, you want to go ahead and make SOPs, make scripts for this, right? So that they know, hey, this process is going to get broken down like this. This is kind of step by step on how we do that. Okay. And so what I always suggest for home care agencies, get a blend of automated and manual systems to go ahead and do kind of the automated to do the heavy repetitive lifting. Okay, you definitely don't want to burn out your team, kind of get the mental fatigue. You want to make them as efficient as possible. It's kind of the whole point of this, make them as efficient as possible. So kind of automate the repetitive stuff, and then obviously leave the manual stuff. So you leave that human element, right? Especially when it comes to following up. Okay, leave that human element to it. But when it comes to like setting reminders and keeping people accountable, you don't want to be worried about that. You don't want to bore that over that kind of minuscule stuff to managers. You can have all that automated. Okay, so that's what I'd recommend when it comes to that. The follow up, kind of sending out messages, calling them, having a script, creating SOPs. How should you follow if this certain process happens, etc. And then of course the manual aspect, so you get that human touch to it. And then lastly, of course, these systems, at the end of the day, they're meant to go ahead and enhance your inquiry to admission rates. Okay. So that's definitely something for you to focus on. Okay. Lesson number 5. Okay. Patience and nurturing for exponential growth. And so when it comes to the marketing aspect, okay, there's going to be here, we go back here to this kind of timeline here. Okay. Let me go ahead and erase this just so it looks a bit more clear. Okay, so here, okay, from this process, they first strangers, then you actually get their attention. They know you exist. They decide to go ahead and inquire. They decide to go ahead and actually do the assessment, and then finally become a client. Okay, in this process, okay, a lot of people get stuck here. Okay, a lot of people get stuck here, right? And I kind of mentioned that earlier. And I don't mean people as in agencies. I mean people themselves, right? The pain that they're feeling, or the pain that their mom is feeling, or their spouse is feeling, it's not high enough yet to maybe justify a decision to be made, because it's not just about money, right? It's about their whole situation, how they're gonna have to change their hours from work, how they're gonna have to do all these different things, how they're actually gonna have to make the commitment now to go ahead and actually take care of their mother, right, or their loved one, or themselves, right? So there's going to be certain points in time in people's lives that this is going to be the most difficult and troubling thing, okay, for them. And so that's why it's super important to understand that for the long term, okay, you want to have a way to go ahead and re-engage with these leads, right? Especially if they have already gone through the process of inquiring, right? And they've already considered you as an option to take care of their agency, or even if they made the decision to go to a different agency, you still want to reach out to these people. Okay, so just so I can kind of drive the point home, in any given market, okay, let's pull this out. Let me erase this real quick. Here we go. Okay, so in any given market, okay, I'm gonna pull up a circle. Okay, let's pull up a circle right here. Okay, in any given market, there's gonna be this right here. You're gonna have this little chunk right here. Okay, let's put it like this. You're gonna have this little chunk right here. Okay, where 3% of any market in any industry, right? It's kind of like a marketing rule. 3% are always gonna be in what we call buying mode or decision-making mode. Okay, decision-making. Okay, and this is where they've already done the research. They're already very sure. The pain is already super high. They already know what they want, and they want it now. They just need that person. It's a question of who's going to do that, right? And of course, that's where those type of people, this 3% right here, are the easiest to go from here to right here, right? Very easy, very easy, very easy. And so you're noticing like, damn, why aren't there more leads like that? It's just because the rest of the market, right? The rest of the market, okay, that is like 97%, right? Right here. The other 97% are still in kind of window shopping mode, right? They're still kind of observing their options. They're still considering, hey, is this something realistic that we can do? Can we afford it? Can I go ahead and change this around my job? These are still people, and we've kind of described them in this funnel here. We've kind of described them kind of up here, right here, right? This is them. That's that. These are these people, okay? And of course, inevitably, these people do end up going in here. But just so you can get an understanding, okay, 3% of the market is always in a buying mode. And so when the time comes, okay, people that have reached out to you, right? Because eventually you're going to build, when you're going ahead and marketing, especially if you've done this for years, you're going to have a list and list and list and list and list and list and list of names, right? Emails, numbers that you're going to be collecting, okay? So, of course, if you have that list, it's always easier, right? Because this person already knows you exist. They're here, right? At that point, they already know you exist. So what happens is there's less friction when they start coming down here, down the funnel, and then when they find themselves here, when they're service aware, and now it's just a question of, they're part of that 3%, and they're wondering who is going to be that person to take care of me, right? Or take care of my spouse, or take care of my relative. You make it so frictionless, right? When you reach out to them, when that time is right, to go right here, right? And then eventually go right here. Okay, and go and make that decision really quickly. They're already familiar with you. They've already reached out to you. They've already inquired. That's why we want to do something called long-term nurturing. Okay, this is where, let's say every quarter, right? Every 3 months or every 6 months, we want to go ahead and reach out to this old list of leads right here and see how they're doing. Follow up with them. And it doesn't, you don't have to do this as in calling every single lead, right? Because, of course, that might be a lot of time, even though you might convert a lot of them. More like that. But what you want to do, okay, and kind of mentioned this. Number one, there's not all these convert immediately, right? This is where number two, you want to go ahead and set what we call nurturing sequences, right? So every 3 months, every 6 months, you want to be able, okay, we got to go ahead and kind of contact these people, see how they're doing, and see if things change, right? Maybe the pain wasn't as great when they first reached out to you, but maybe mom got worse, right? So you got to go ahead and talk to them before they go ahead and reach out to a different agency, right? Because again, they were you were their first option. You just need to be remind them, hey, I'm here, And so again, remember, if you don't do this, you're not just missing out on the lead, right? You're missing out on the potential referrals that lead also sends your way, right? So we're talking about tens, money aside, of course, we're talking about more than one relationship being established here. We're talking about the dozens that could potentially come with them as well. So you want to go ahead and kind of have these long-term strategies where every 3 to 6 months you'll reach out to them. This could be either via email, text, and I would recommend you could definitely, if you want to keep it personable. Again, beautiful thing about this industry is the human touch. Okay, so definitely texting would be a great option. Just make sure when you send it out, it sounds like you actually hand wrote the text and it came from a human, not something that everybody kind of got. It's like a spam message, like everybody got this message. No, it's like you do, hey Kathy, I hope you're doing well. Okay, I just wanted to follow up and see how you've been, and are you still looking for home care? Something simple as that, right? And then of course you can change the theme of it. It doesn't have to just always be that. It could be, hey Kathy, happy new year, yeah, right? Now of course you can change that, and there's certain ways you can kind of make that easier for you if you have these systems. The systems I mentioned here that allow you to do something just like this, right? But this is more focused on the long term, on the nurturing aspect. And so of course content is always going to be a great thing for here, kind of having them follow your socials, and on top of that, reaching out to them directly, either via email, text, and then the people that do answer your text, you could even give them a call, right? So that you get that, hey, long time no see, how are you doing? Of course, and that conversation flows so much more nicely. Hey, yeah, you reached me out at the perfect time. My mom's been getting worse. Yada yada. There you go, right? You've essentially, like, you put yourself there, and the agencies that kind of wait long term, right? That think in longer term sense. They're not thinking, oh, I only want the clients now. Like, of course you do, right? And that's why we do the earlier things that we talked about. We're talking about the paid ads, right? Those are the things that, short term, those are the people that, you're going to speak to now, especially the SEO and stuff. But we got to remember, if we want to be as profitable as possible and build these long-term relationships and eventually become these giants, right? Become industry leaders in our fields, then this is what it's going to take. This is the long-term strategy. This is how you make sure you don't just stay for the next 2 years, you stay for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Okay. And, establishing those long-term relationships and making sure that compounds over time. Okay. So that's lesson number 5. And so, of course, just to go ahead and quickly recap on all the lessons we talked about. We talked about number 1, okay, marketing, your growth engine. That's what you should definitely be focusing on. If you want to go ahead and grow your agency, get more clients, marketing is going to be that. In-person marketing versus online marketing, both. Okay. And of course, your clients are online or the family of them. You're gonna speak out. You're gonna reach them. Don't worry. Number 3, of course, focusing on search first and then going over to organic content. That's how people are looking for a home care online. They're searching for it, right? Especially those people you want to talk to, they're searching for it. That's kind of the immediate aspect. Long-term wise, of course, you want to focus on social media, but in the short term, paid ads and SEO is going to be your route. Lesson number 4, you want to have systems to not just, of course, you don't want to do all this effort and then eventually get, just people get kind of lost or they kind of get forgotten. No, you want to have follow-up and accountability systems in place to make sure that every lead is getting taken care of just like they're one of your clients, and I guarantee you're going to convert a lot more. And then, of course, lesson number 5, this is going to be making sure you're, you're long-term here. You're here for the long road. You're an industry leader. This is how you get more, you increase your conversions over the long term, right? But, of course, make sure, okay, try one of these strategies out, right? Try one of these strategies out, see what works for you, right? Everything is going to work for somebody different. These are the 5 lessons that I've seen across, kind of all, the home care agencies, the dozens of home care agencies that we've helped, to go ahead and do that. And so next steps, right? If you liked what you see, if you need any help with anything that you saw today, you can go ahead and click the link down below to schedule a free demo call. You can speak to me, right, or my team, and we'll go ahead and we'll analyze your current marketing, what you're doing, what you're lacking, and we show you how we implement new strategies and systems just like the ones you saw here to take your agency to the next level. All right, so if you enjoy this, please leave a like, subscribe to go ahead and keep following for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.